Is it a good idea to pair the RX 9070 XT with a 4K monitor to play the latest games? Well, thanks to the improvements made by FSR 4 in resolution upscaling quality, this actually might be a good combo. To test this, I paired the Gigabyte Gaming OC RX 9070 XT with the Ryzen 7 9800X3D CPU as part of my Be Quiet PC build powered by MSI, and we're using one of the best monitors for the job. This is the MSI 272URX 240Hz 4K QD OLED monitor. And if you are interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon and the links in the description below. Currently, there are no games that have native support for FSR 4, but it is fairly easy to enable it in games that support FSR 3.1. And let me show you how it's done. All you do is just bring up the AMD software, then go to the Gaming tab, and select the game that you want to override with FSR 4, and then select Fidelity Effects Super Resolution 4. Just switch that on, and it will work. That said, in my experience, it doesn't work in every game that is listed as supported. For example, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I don't have that option, even though I know for a fact that other people are able to select FSR 4 from this menu right here. I don't know what's up with that. I've tried troubleshooting it. I was not successful in resolving this issue. Hopefully AMD can fix this in a future driver update. Let's begin with the Horizon Forbidden West, a game that I know really well, and this is the perfect game to test FSR 4 resolution upscaling. Does it look good? Let's find out. By the way, I'm currently using native 4K resolution, very high graphics quality preset. Let's take a look at the settings, just to reiterate. Yes, 4K, native FSR 4. Never mind that FSR 3 label, I used the override to actually inject FSR 4 into this game. As you can see here, FSR 4 enabled and the status is active, so it's all good. And very high graphics quality preset. Field of view is maxed out. The only thing I disabled is depth of field and motion blur, so there is no blurriness, and we can see every little fine detail. Surprisingly, this game actually plays quite well even at native resolution 4K on the 9070 XT. Wow. I did not expect this kind of experience. FSR 4 is important not just for resolution upscaling, but for anti-aliasing as well, and it's just looking great. Whereas previously, FSR 3 native AA, it looked absolutely horrible, in my opinion. Yeah, if you've ever experienced NVIDIA's DLAA, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, then you should really experience that difference, because if you think that FSR 3 native AA looks good, then you haven't seen anything. Now let's see what's up when we enable FSR 4 Quality mode. In terms of performance, this is absolutely beautiful. We're getting close to 100 FPS in some scenes and 90 plus in other scenes. Yeah, on a high refresh rate monitor, this feels very nice. I must say that I am well impressed with FSR 4. Image quality is just on the next level. Finally, AMD has a resolution upscaling solution that I want to use. And if you know me, I'm always telling you that resolution upscaling is extremely important in 2025 and beyond, because all of the games that are coming out, basically native resolution experience is pretty much dead unless you are willing to buy an extremely expensive graphics card and pair it with a lower resolution monitor. Yeah, Even the RTX 5090 is struggling to deliver a 60 plus FPS experience with maxed out ray tracing in games at 1440p native. So if that graphics card needs help from resolution upscaling, then something like the 9070 XT has no chance without the help of resolution upscaling. And finally, we have FSR 4, machine learning based resolution upscaling solution from AMD, and it looks great. Fine details such as grass and small leaves are preserved pretty well, and the performance boost is well worth enabling the FSR 4 Quality mode. This looks good. Now let's try FSR Balanced mode. We're not getting that much more performance compared to when we went from native resolution to FSR Quality mode, but still, the FPS is a little bit higher. If you need that extra performance in any game that supports FSR 4, then yeah, FSR 4 Balanced mode is usable now. And it's actually enjoyable. Okay. Let's do a little fight over here. Let's go. Yeah. Nice, smooth experience. Pretty amazing, if you ask me. Finally, I'm enjoying games on an AMD graphics card. Oh my. This is the first one for me, because previously that was my main criticism, that FSR looked absolutely horrible. Of course, if you have keen eyes, then you will notice the difference between FSR Quality and Balanced modes, because finer details are not as detailed, not as crisp when using FSR Balanced mode. But if you're just trying to enjoy your game, just play it, and you're not pixel peeping, then FSR Balanced mode is actually enjoyable. Yeah, I have zero issues with using this setting to enjoy this particular game, because yeah, it looks good. It looks good, it looks enjoyable, and we're getting higher frame rate. So it's a win-win-win. But what about the performance mode? Will I be able to enjoy that? Previous versions of FSR looked absolutely horrific on performance mode, but now this is actually usable. Although finer details are even less crisp now, I can see the difference. But again, it's the same story as with FSR Balanced mode. If you're just enjoying the game, running around and not pixel peeping, then this is enjoyable now. It's not introducing any horrible visual oddities, I would say. That's what I will call them, okay? Oddities. Or anomalies if we were in Stalker 2. But yeah, this looks good. And the performance is better. Although for the best experience, I still prefer using FSR Quality mode, because that's just the best balance between the image quality and the performance boost that we're getting from using resolution upscaling. I'm happy to report that FSR 4 performance mode is usable and enjoyable on a 4K monitor. Next up is the highly popular Monster Hunter Wilds, and we are using the highest graphics quality. Take a look at that. This is maxed out, and this is maxed out as well. The only exception is the texture quality. We're not using the highest quality only because the high resolution texture pack is quite broken. It just breaks the frame rate, at least for me. And I've heard the same from other people as well, so we're not going to use that. It's just not worth it. It makes the game unpleasant, which we don't want. We want to enjoy the game, right? And ray tracing is set to high. Let's actually start with native resolution, 4K, and then we'll take a look at FSR Quality, Balanced, and Performance modes. Wow, again, I am quite impressed with the overall performance of the 9070 XT. Take a look at that. 4K resolution, 40 plus FPS. It's not as good as in the Horizon Forbidden West, but it is what it is. This game is still quite broken and requires a lot of attention from the game developers. They need to fix it, polish it. It came out raw. And by the way, ray tracing in this game doesn't cost a lot to run, so it's not a problem with ray tracing. The 9070 XT can handle it just fine. It loses very little performance. Also, without ray tracing, this game looks absolutely horrible, especially in cutscenes. It's not looking great. That's why I choose to use ray tracing. And let's try FSR 4 Quality mode now to see if we'll get a playable experience. Yeah, we're getting quite a nice performance boost from FSR resolution upscaling. And take a look at that. 50 plus FPS. However, when we turn the camera, yeah, it's dropping frames. That's one of the issues that the game developers must fix as soon as possible. And unfortunately, yeah, it's not an enjoyable experience if you use FSR Quality mode at 4K with this graphics card. It's just not enough to get us close to that. I would say that I would probably want about 90 FPS in this particular scene to ensure that we are not dropping too many frames when we are fighting bosses. And just to prove to you that we are not losing much in terms of performance by using ray tracing, let me just demonstrate it to you. Okay, we're getting 59, 60 FPS right now, right? And if we disable ray tracing completely, take a look at what happens. We only gained something like 7 to 8 FPS. Not a huge deal at all. That's why I prefer playing this game with ray tracing set to the high preset. Now let's go ahead and select FSR Balanced mode to improve that FPS a little bit more. And indeed, we're getting a higher frame rate, but it's still not enough for a pleasant experience in the rest of the game, although this is still a playable experience in my opinion. But this is the kind of game where I'm actually enjoying higher frame rates, so if we can get to that 90 plus FPS or even 120, that would have been perfect, but it doesn't look likely. Yeah. Let's select FSR Performance mode to see if that will help. As expected, it's not making a massive difference, but still the FPS is ever so slightly higher now. We went from 60 plus to around 70 plus now in this particular scene, but it's still not enough for that brilliant experience. Alternatively, you'll have to buy a more powerful graphics card, something like the RTX 5080 or 5090, although I'm not endorsing that. The 9070 is still looking pretty decent in this game, I would say. Yeah, you can still have a good time with it. This is Alan Wake 2, and I wanted to show this game to you because the RX 9070 XT is not perfect. There are many older titles, like this one right here, that will most likely never support FSR 4. But in contrast, if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you can use NVIDIA app to override DLSS to the latest version. Currently it's DLSS 4. In many older titles. AMD is using the same kind of override tactic as NVIDIA. However, the number of games that support that for FSR 4 is extremely limited because it can only be done with games that have native support for FSR 3.1, which isn't that many games. So basically, you'll just be stuck with the old FSR 2 or FSR 3, which look absolutely horrible in your older titles. But let's see how the 9070 XT does at native 4K resolution at high graphics quality preset and ray tracing disabled. Actually, you've been looking at that performance this entire time. We can get 60 plus FPS in some scenes and then 50 plus in other scenes. However, there will be some scenes indoors. Let's enter this building right here and see if we can stay above 50 FPS. Yeah, it's fine mostly. But in more GPU demanding locations, you'll see 30 plus FPS on the screen, which isn't pleasant. I mean, you kind of have to spend a lot of time in this particular level of the game. So the fact that we cannot boost the performance by enabling FSR 4 is kind of disappointing. Of course, we can still use FSR 2, but it doesn't look good. I never thought that it is good enough to actually use it, and that's why I don't use it. And I don't recommend you use it. Well, you can make up your own mind, but if you are buying a new graphics card and thinking about using resolution upscaling on a 4K monitor, then the 9070 XT might not be the right choice for you. At lower resolutions, the 9070 XT can just, handle games at native 1440p resolution, for example. You can just lower some graphics settings and get away with that way. But at 4K resolution, that's not really an option because you'll have to lower those graphics settings way, way low, making the game look pretty bad. And there's no way you can use ray tracing in a GPU demanding game like Alan Wake 2. And this is not the last GPU demanding game that will come out. Yeah, the games will become even more and more GPU demanding over the year 2026, 2027, for as long as you are keeping this GPU. I'm assuming at least 2 to 3 years. So yeah, you have to be prepared for more of this, and hopefully FSR 4 will be implemented natively in those games, and we'll see a good experience on the 9070 XT, but it remains to be seen, because who knows? FSR 3 adoption rate was not great. I hope FSR 4 will do better. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a great example of a very fun game that looks good enough and it doesn't use ray tracing. So let's check it out. Unfortunately, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I was unable to get FSR 4 to work in this game, so we'll have to make do with what we have. We're using 4K resolution, experimental graphics quality preset, which is the absolute maximum overkill setting. FOV is at 100, and we are at native resolution using FSR native AA. This graphics card is definitely not cut out to handle the experimental graphics quality preset in this game, because we're already getting dips below 40, and I'm guessing that we'll experience 30 plus over here. Hold on, let's see, 36, 35, 33. Okay, so yeah, this is not even the most graphically demanding scene in the game. There will be more GPU demanding scenes, and we need more FPS to enjoy the game. Even if we had the help of resolution upscaling, for example, let's select the quality mode, or actually no, let's go for balanced right away, just to demonstrate my point. You see, we can barely get 60 plus FPS in this scene, and it will drop below 60 once we enter the castle over there. Also, this is FSR 3, not FSR 4. FSR 4 will have lower FPS because it is heavier than FSR 3. And as you can see, we've seen 45 FPS just then. So yeah, I don't think that this is a good experience. We'll have to adjust the graphics settings. Let's go ahead and bring the resolution back up to native and lower that graphics quality to ultra. This is somewhat better, but still not enough. We're still experiencing 50 plus FPS, with dips to 40 plus, 45, 46. However, just to give you a taste of what it could be, let's select FSR Quality mode and take a look at that. Same scene, 70 plus FPS. So I'm guessing if we had FSR 4 in this game on my PC, if it was working, then we would see something like 65 maybe 70 FPS in this particular scene, which would have been good enough to enjoy this game. Of course, we can always lower that graphics quality even further. Let's select the high graphics quality preset and bring the resolution back up to native. Yeah, this is pretty nice in terms of frame rate. 60 plus already. Native 4K. Wow, okay. And the performance dip is how big? Hold on. Huh. 60 plus FPS over here. Pretty good, pretty good. The high graphics quality preset still looks quite good, but obviously I prefer playing on the ultra graphics quality preset because we're just getting a little bit nicer picture, but it's not a huge deal. The game is still very enjoyable even on the high graphics quality preset. We'll have to use Spider-Man 2 to test ray tracing performance in modern games because, yeah, even in Cyberpunk 2077, FSR 4 is still not available. Unfortunately, this game doesn't run smoothly, it's still quite broken. Yeah, it's not the best game to test, but we'll have to make do with this one. We are at 4K resolution using FSR 4 performance mode. And in terms of graphics settings, we're using very high graphics quality preset. So some of these are not maxed out, and ray tracing is set to very high. This is the ray tracing preset that I consider to be transformative visually. It's just not worth enabling anything else. Everything else is set to very high as well. Depth of field is turned off and motion blur is turned off as well. Field of view is set to the maximum. The FPS counter doesn't work over there, it works over here. Also, these three lines, just ignore them. Yeah, the stuttering is not reported correctly either, although I can tell you that this game is a stuttery one. Just take a look at that frame rate. It is a stuttery mess, basically. So it's not a pleasant experience. We can just check out the performance, ray tracing performance, and that's the most we can do in this game. I can tell you now, it's not an enjoyable experience. It's just way too slow, way too stuttery. There is no smoothness at all. And the thing is that even using the performance mode of FSR, we still can't get a 60 plus FPS experience. And this isn't even the worst case scenario. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to enjoy any kind of AAA games with ray tracing enabled on the RX 9070 XT paired with a 4K monitor, because take a look at this, 30 plus FPS. That is pathetic. As long as we are in the game, let's take a look at how the game performs without ray tracing. We're still using FSR 4 performance mode, and, well, at least in terms of frame rate, it's quite good, above 100. And the game is not as stuttery purely because there's more frames, but take a look at that frame rate. It's still very, very choppy indeed. Those spikes, yeah, that's not good. And without ray tracing, this game just doesn't feel as nice. It's not looking great, especially if you look at the buildings. Yeah, without reflections, well, without ray traced reflections, they just don't feel as good. The world feels much less vibrant. But at least you can play the game. Although, yeah, those stutters, not great. Let's take a look at the FSR Quality mode next. Yeah, you don't actually need the performance mode FSR in this game, because even the quality mode delivers well above 60 FPS at 4K, and the image looks crisper, nicer in every way. This is okay, I would say, but still, the frame rate is not good. The frame pacing in this game is, for some reason, not smooth. It's just a buggy mess still. Spider-Man 2. I don't like it. While it is possible to enjoy some games on a 4K monitor using the RX 9070 XT, yeah, it's not the best experience, because at this resolution we highly depend on using resolution upscaling, such as FSR, but unfortunately FSR 4 is still not widely adopted, especially if you compare it to DLSS 4 from NVIDIA. That resolution upscaling is widely adopted, and that is why I don't recommend you pair the 9070 XT with a 4K monitor. Just stick to 1440p or 1440p ultra-wide. But that's what I think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you like this combo? Are you thinking about getting an RX 9070 XT for your 4K build? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, then don't forget to reward my work with a like. That helps out a lot. And subscribe for more if you haven't already. If you are interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon at the links in the description below. It was I, Vadim. Until next time.